Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I'm Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are reviewing the Minnesota Vikings selections from our 7-round mock draft. We selected all 250-something picks, and so these will be the Vikings review of those selections. Before we do that, be sure to ring that bell to get notified when new Vikings videos come out. We've done a 3-round mock draft for the Vikings already. We have other mock draft selections for the Vikings specific leading up all the way to the 2024 NFL Draft. Also, as well, we're trying to help grow on our channel, and if you like our content, be sure to subscribe, as it's the easiest way to help us out and also get notified when we create new content. So with these mock drafts, we wanted to try and provide some context on who was still available for each selection here and where they ended up being selected. So if you look to the right, you can see some other players that we feel the Vikings could take, but just decided to pass on this time. And I think that's kind of a good segue to the Vikings. I think could literally take anybody, even quarterback. And so there's not a position I feel the Vikings, maybe receiver. They probably won't go receiver. I say that though, but I'm pretty sure KJ Osborne is going to be a free agent. They did just draft Jordan Addison last year, so I like that tandem. But heck, even with TJ Hawkinson's injury now and how late it was into the season, if Brock Bowers falls, maybe they want to get him because TJ Hawkinson will probably be on IR for majority of the year, and also the what's his contract situation going to be like. Even though I say that, I think he did just get re-signed. So
yeah, he did.
Okay, yeah. So, but still though, having a guy like Brock Bowers and TJ Hawkinson, and then Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, you're kind of set at the pass catching position, I would say. Here though, for Vikings, I think that they can go anything and everything defensive here, and we ended up selecting Cooper DeJean. This could easily have been Jared Verse, easily could have been Nate Wiggins, easily could have been Jersey Newton. It could have been any of those guys. So, and that's what I think too, throwing over you. What, especially as of now, from when we did this mock draft, which I believe was maybe a week or so ago, when we finalized it, we're recording this as of 2/24. What are some of the other players that you feel are in play here, or other maybe ideas and philosophies that the Vikings end up doing with this first overall pick?
If they want to invest in the long haul, I think this is where J.J. McCarthy landing spot could potentially be. I think the top 3 quarterbacks will be off the board. The other thing that I really think is very possible, especially as we'll kind of talk about later, that they have limited draft capital. And you did a trade in your last mock draft Monday that I actually really, really liked and a little bit pissed off I didn't think of, that they had the Bengals trade up here to 11 to get a guy like Brock Bowers who fell. And they go back, they get 2 additional picks. And I just think it would have been a really solid move for them. They still get a first-round pick. They can address the defense, but then they also get a second-round pick and I think a day 3 pick as well. So just a very all-around good trade for them, especially in the position that they're in where they need anything and everything defense. So I think that's a really solid pick here. We didn't do trades in this mock draft, just trying to keep it as simple as possible, but let's go ahead and move on to their next pick here. And this is where we get Jonah Ellis, the edge rusher from Utah. Going to be a fantastic pro. I feel like he's more of the outside linebacker rather than like a true hand in the dirt edge, but he's so fast. He's actually really solid against the run as well. And he has developed pass rush moves. I think you can plug and play him at the edge rusher outside linebacker spot, and you have a day 1 starter here. Honestly, the more that I get along in this draft process, this is a guy I have sneaking up at picks like 28 to 32 in that range, just because I like him that much.
Yeah. When you get to this point in the draft as well, there's going to be guys that it's just going to be dependent if teams just fall in love with him, And so I can honestly see Atlanta is the next pick right there. They end up taking Jalen Polk, but his brother is on the team, Caden Ellis, and so I could see them even being Atlanta. Being a team, maybe if they go receiver with the first overall, with their first pick at 8 overall and pass an edge rusher, they trade up and go and get a guy like him just because of what he does bring to the table here. So if teams fall in love with this guy, which if you watch the film, they absolutely will. He absolutely could go in the first round. He could maybe fall a little bit more, and go into the mid 50s. This is just that it's so many variables overall that go into this pick.
Yeah, so let's move on. They don't have a 3rd-round pick, so we're just going to go straight into the day 3 picks. So the first few picks here, Jalen Ford, linebacker from Texas. He's going to have really good length. He's going to be a good athlete. not the most explosive guy, but very fluid. And I think definitely getting him in a Brian Flores system where he can come downhill, which is his strength, I think would be really solid. Michael Pratt, the quarterback from Tulane, just a good developmental prospect. I think you look at what Kirk Cousins does, and I think Michael Pratt, that is kind of his ceiling, is what the things that Kirk Cousins does. And then lastly here, Tyron Tracy, the running back from Purdue, a little bit of an under the radar guy, but here in the middle of the 5th round, I think that's really good value. Also, he has a really solid last name.
No relation to us, but Tyrone, you're welcome on the family. You're welcome to all family dinners. But also to honor the show at any time as well. So wrapping it up here with Josh Proctor, Tanner McLaughlin, and Jordan Whittington as well. Ended up addressing that tight end and that receiver position as well. Jordan Whittington, I think, is a guy that I'm kind of intrigued on. He was the other guy at Texas with all the amazing skill position players that they had. And I would say I think what I kind of like about him as well is he would then kind of be the other guy here in Minnesota. It's like so much attention is going to be drawn to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison as well, and even TJ Hawkinson when he comes back or whatever tight end they end up having, that he could kind of maybe replace KJ Osborne, and that could kind of just be the role that he's in. And he was really good at it at Texas, So I think snagging him here in the 6th round, he is not the best receiver by any means, but I would say that I think he would fit in well to kind of what Minnesota wants to do.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a really interesting way to put it, is because he would kind of be the other guy in Minnesota. And I think he plays that role really well because he's only going to get 4 or 5 targets a game, but he's a good jump ball receiver. He makes defenses kind of respect his down the field ability. And so I think that would actually be a really good fit.
He's the Will Ferrell to Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, exactly. So all in all, though, for the Minnesota Vikings mock draft, I really think that this is like one of the most interesting teams to watch, simply because we have no idea where they're going to go, because they really, besides left tackle and I would say wide receiver in the 1st round, they could go anywhere. I think Jackson Powers Johnson is on the board for them at the center position. I think Cameron Kitchens. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Excuse me. I think Cameron Kitchens at safety is really on the board. Maybe they move up and down the board to target players in zones that they like. But again, I just think it's going to be really fascinating to watch how they come at this personnel problem that they have on the defensive side of the ball. So
and we really will not know exactly what they end up doing until they figure out the quarterback position. If they re-sign Kirk Cousins, then we'll know a lot more. But if they're like, hey, we're going to be shopping around, then that J.J. McCarthy at 11 overall becomes very serious. Then maybe trading up and sacrificing some of the draft picks and some of their future. It is very serious. What's going to happen, though, then if Kirk Cousins doesn't come back? Does Justin Jefferson want to stay in Minnesota, or does he want to go to a winning team? Not saying that Minnesota wasn't a winning team, but still, you get my point. So a lot of things still need to fall. But to your point, though, it's they could go in absolutely any direction.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of this Minnesota Vikings 7-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you guys do differently? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.